How are we going to measure success for the Miami Hurricanes football team in 2023? Is it only about wins and losses?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Saturday. I'm Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We are assembling the Avengers once again. We did this a couple of weeks ago. We knew we had to run it back. Let me first introduce. Let's go to the box down below. For those listening to the audio, you're like, what is he talking about? For those listening to the video, you'll know how we're arranged. They call her Hoodie Girl, and she is wearing the most vintage Canes hoodie in her collection. She does an awesome job on the 6-Ring Canes on the 5 Reasons Sports Network and the Buckets podcast. Hoodie Girl, how are you?
What's up, Donno? I'm good. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Welcome back. And welcome back again to a superhero in his own right. He's actually a colleague of mine at allhurricanes.com, and he's part of the awesome You Heard podcast. Chalupa Batman, who's rocking a new microphone. Welcome, Chalupa.
Hey, how's everything going? It's always fun to do these podcasts, and I sound better now, so it's even better.
You sound silky smooth, man. You sound silky smooth. So, something I want to get our reactions and the reactions from those of you listening and watching, listening to this and watching this. I thought this was a really great tweet, and it's created a lot of discussion among Canes Twitter. And this comes from good friend of the show and former Miami Hurricanes quarterback one, Malik Rosier, who put this out earlier in the week. And it's a thread. Let me read a few tweets to you here. He says, "You can agree with me or not, but personally, I don't care about wins and losses this year. I will be pissed the hell off at every and any loss this year." And I can verify that because I did post-game shows every game with Malik last year. And he like Middle Tennessee game. I don't think we spoke to each other off the air. Like we only spoke when the mics were on. He says, "But I also see a lot of positivity with what Mario is building. All I want is to feel like everyone who wore orange and green gave 100% effort and executed to the best of their ability. Most of the teams I've been on, when we lose, the other team had better effort and just did their job over and over. Losing reduces as execution and energy increase. So either believe in what Mario and crew is building and support the kids or don't. But I will be supporting them, so don't cry in my comments this season. Thank you." Now, Chalupa, is anyone going to take his advice and not cry in his comments? Because I don't think that's going to stop. But what did you think about what Malik tweeted?
They will not stop crying in his comments. I have been begging people to stop crying in my mentions about 3 stars, and they won't stop. So they won't stop. But I agree. I agree 100% with Malik. First off, he always has really in-depth and really good analysis on Twitter. He's a great follow. But that tweet to me needed to be said because the progress I think we're going to see with this team is not just wins and losses. It may not be in the stat column. I know we want to see a more wide open offense. We want to see big numbers, but things that I'll be looking for early, especially in the first couple games, are little things. How do they bounce back after they give up their first bomb? Remember last year when they gave up their first 70-yarder, we were thinking, okay, not again. And then it happened again, and then again, and then you see shoulders drop. You see body language looking bad. You see players started to feel like they knew they were going to lose. I want to see how they react when they throw their first interception. Right. I want to see how they react when the defense has their first short field position and they give up a touchdown. Does the offense now come out sagging their shoulders, feeling like they let the defense behind, and now the defense is pressing because they're down 7-0? I want to see progression week to week. I want them to be competitive, and I would like to see how they battle back versus adversity this year. I think that will tell us more about the DNA of this team over if we beat A&M 38-0. I want to see what it looks like if we give up a punt return for a touchdown. Do shoulders sag? Or do we see Guidry, getting the guys lifted up? Are the seniors going over to the younger guys and telling them we're still in this? Are we throwing up the 4s and believing it going into the fourth quarter when we're down by 10? Those are the kind of things I'm looking for this year. I don't know about you guys, but to me, I agree with Malik. It's not just wins and losses. It's changing the culture. And you're going to see that manifest in different ways, and it may not be 300 yards and 4 touchdowns from our quarterback.
What did you make of the tweets, Hoodie Girl?
I mean, I completely agree with Malik also. I think a big thing is going to be, I mean, not necessarily beating A&M, but I mean, I hope we do, but being in the games and then beating the teams we're supposed to beat. I think when we lost to A&M last year, I don't know that a lot of fans necessarily gave up on the team right then and there. But I think once we lost to Middle Tennessee, I think that kind of changed the whole outlook, like with the fan base on like, oh, this team is trash, blah, blah, blah. What's the point? So what Chalupa said with, the attitudes on the sideline, if they make a mistake, if we're down and how we come back from that. But I think a lot of it is just going to stem from confidence, and especially those early games before we get into ACC play, playing well and then beating the teams we're supposed to beat and beating them like how we're supposed to beat them. If we keep the A&M game close, even if we don't necessarily win, but it's close and we're competitive, but then we beat, Miami of Ohio, we beat Bethune-Cookman, we beat Temple and, in convincing fashion. And then we go into ACC play with the confidence. I think we're going to see that change. But I mean, I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, Mario needs to win 9-10 games this year. Otherwise he needs to go. And I'm like, that's not realistic.
Right.
Not you have these Cinderella teams that have a horrible year and then come back and they make the college football playoff like TCU. That's not how things work. That's just an outlier. What we want to see improvement. Are we winning games we're supposed to win? Are we in games that are supposed to be 50-50 or, instead of getting blown up by Clemson, maybe we keep it close. We play well, but, Clemson just has better talent, whatever. If we do that and we get like 7-8 wins, I consider that a success and that's progress. And I think recruits will see that. And hopefully we bring in another big class.
Well, and you made a good point about recruits, because that was the people who did disagree with Malik's tweet about not caring as much about wins and losses. A lot of the common responses were, but you need to win big time games to get big time recruits. That's part of it, but that doesn't tell the whole story, okay? Because big time recruits, they also want to know that the players at Miami trust their coaches, that the players in Miami have a good, cohesive locker room, that Miami is not only a great place to be, because Miami is going to be a great city, whether the Canes suck or the Canes are great. It's still an awesome place to live, but you want to know you're coming into an environment where you can thrive, okay? And you don't necessarily have to win 10, 11 games this year to show recruits that. You need to show that, people like Jason Taylor and Lance Guidry and Tim Harris Jr. and Kevin Beard, these are, some of the new coaches that came in this year, are creating an environment where they're making players better, they're getting along with players, they're teaching players. And, going back to last year, Miami, honestly, we can talk about 5-7, which is terrible, but it wasn't only being 5-7. It was seeing coaches disconnected with players, a lot of players who were disconnected with each other and not wanted to be there. Like, it got to be a bad environment, and all the losing led to a lot of that. And, you didn't have the certain type of personalities that were set to recover and bounce back from that. It's why Cam Kinchins made that, amazing speech in the locker room at the end of that 5-7 season and basically said, anybody who doesn't want to be here, get your ass into the portal. Like, we don't want you here. Like, he invited players to do that. And so then Chalupa, you know what, Miami did, and I hope it works, because we don't know for sure if it's going to work, but you turned over nearly half the roster, right? 41 out of 85 new scholarship players, and you turned over about half the coaching staff as well.
See, the thing, to your point there, one of the most important things I feel you just said is, how do you bounce back? They're going to come off the bus hype with all the swagger in the world week one. How do you come off the bus after your first loss? How's the day after that? What does Twitter look like? Are players turning on each other after their first loss? Everyone's best friends right now. Now everyone's taking selfies together at the gas station. Are they still doing that after a loss, after a game that they thought they would win? It's okay to win games that you're supposed to win. What happens when you slip up and lose one of those? Dude, it's football. It happens any given Sunday, right? You can lose those games. It can happen. What happens to the locker room when that happens? Does faith wane, or do they look at each other and go, hey, bro, that's one, and it's not happening again? That's the mindset we need here. It's not happening again. The milk is spilled. It's not going back in the carton. Let's make sure we take the next carton. Don't put it too close to the edge. Are they doing that? That's what I want to see this year. I want to see the fight. I want to see this team, at least when you watch a team on the sideline, you can tell if they think they're going to win. I want to see this team feel like they have a chance. And I think that starts from the top. I think they do feel like with the coaches and the new guys they have in the building that they have a chance no matter what field they step on. But at the end of the day, it's the players that have to execute. So for me, just like Malik, I'm going to be devastated every time we lose. I don't like losing at anything. If you want to play tic-tac-toe right now, I'll probably cry if I lose. But I also want the program to be changed for the long haul. If we win 10 games this year, peak, and then it goes downhill from there, who's going to be happy about that?
That happened in 2017. That happened when Malik was quarterbacking the team.
Exactly. Is Mario here to win fast, or is he here to change the program? We want long-term success. The recruits will see that. They'll also see player development. It's not just about wins and losses. Yes, these 5-star receivers want to know how they'll be used, but they also want to see, did they develop Jacoby? You guys got Ray in this year. How are you using him? Does he look different from week 1 to week 7? Because then JoJo goes, ooh, within 6 weeks, they got him looking like that. How am I going to look? Damn, the losses. He looks fantastic. Imagine how I'd look after 6 weeks with Kevin Beard. There's player development. There's talent development. There's the culture on the sideline and in the building. Those are the things to me that are more important in the first couple years than just wins.
Right. Anything you want to add, Hoodie Girl? I'll give you last word.
I mean, I completely agree with Chalupa. I think it's especially if you're trying to build like a legacy and you're trying to build stuff for the long run. Just, what a one and done type season isn't it. And it takes longer to build up to the success that, Bama's doing and Georgia's doing. And because you want to win every year and you can't just throw a bunch of players together and be like, all right, here, go win a natty. I think especially with the receivers, because that's a big thing. We have a lot of like top receivers we're trying to get. I think what our receivers look like this year is gonna be very helpful. We saw what Kobe Young was able to do in a few games before TVD got hurt and how he developed through the season. I think him taking a big step is going to be a big thing to try and get some receivers in here. And then also what Jacoby George and Restrepo are doing. I don't necessarily think that what Joseph, what Ray does necessarily is going to be a big factor, but guys that have been here already for a year or two, I think their development is going to be huge. And getting some of the bigger guys.
We have the Avengers assembled here, and it's going to be Hoodie Girl's time to shine when we come back because the Miami Hurricanes just had 2 players drafted into the NBA. I wish they'd been first rounders, not second rounders, but still, it's an awesome accomplishment for Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong. We will break it down in a way only Hoodie Girl can when we come back here on Locked On Canes. Guys, I'm locked in this weekend at FanDuel. I got a bunch of UFC plays happening this week, and baseball season is in full swing. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. That's America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers getting no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win, which means you have nothing to lose on that first bet. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to join today. Do not miss your chance to snag that no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. I love how easy it is to use. I love the security. The app is safe, and I love how easy it is to get your money out. They have great promos on the site as well. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. Thank you so much to the Everydayers. We are going to have a Sunday episode as well as we gather more intel on the official visits that are happening this weekend, because there are a number of important players at Miami right now. We're going to have on our guy Brad Tejeda tomorrow, Sunday, to talk about what's going on. Yes, so it's going to be another good one, but we have the Avengers with us right now. So, all right, Hoodie Girl. I know a lot of people out there like NBA draft. I'm not going to stay up for the second round. Hurricanes fans stayed up for the second round because we knew that was going to be the time when we could see some players get picked. And Jordan Miller goes number 48 overall to the Clippers. 7 picks later, Isaiah Wong goes number 55 to the Indiana Pacers. Hoodie Girl, is that about where you expected Wong and Miller to go in terms of draft order? And do you think that those are good places for them to potentially make an NBA roster?
So, I mean, I don't think there was any chance of them going in the first round. Some early draft projections actually had Wong going a bit higher in the second round. And I had said it, I forget what show I said it on, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if Miller went before Wong. And that's more so just because of Miller's kind of versatility, but they're both great players. And if you look at what Miami's program is doing, we were one of only 12 schools that had multiple D1 schools that had multiple players drafted in the NBA draft. So that's a pretty cool feat. It's only the fourth time in school history we've had at least two players drafted in the draft. So what the program is doing and how it's been developing over these last few years is huge. I actually found it really funny that Wong went to Indiana because I was reading some like message boards and some tweets from like Indiana fans, and Trace Jackson Davies, who was like their star on the Hoosiers, was still available when Indiana picked with that 55th pick. And a lot of people were pissed that they didn't pick him because I guess his dad played for the Pacers, and like, when you get drafted in the second round, there's no guarantees.
Yeah.
Like you really, I mean, sometimes when you're drafted that late, when you fall that late, it's actually better to not get drafted and then sign where you think you're going to be the best fit, because you still get to play summer league and end up probably in their G League team and try to develop through there. But I just thought it was funny the way Indiana got smacked by Miami in basketball, both in women's and men's, and then they go and draft the ACC Player of the Year, and then Indiana fans are pissed that they didn't take JVs. But no,
we basically own that state.
Yeah,
we do. That's like Miami North. But I was so upset. So I was at work, so I couldn't watch. So I was just getting updates from people. And when Miller got drafted, and then Wong, I was just excited to have two players go. And I know Wong was at home in New Jersey, but I don't know where Jordan Miller was. I'm assuming he was in Miami because like Norchad, Nigel, and Bensley were all with Jordan. So they all were posting on their IG stories, like filming it when he got the call from LA and them like announcing it. Unfortunately, Wong got drafted like during the commercial, so all you did is see his name pop up. We didn't get to hear the announcement, but that's okay. I think Jokic got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial years ago. So maybe that's
hilarious.
That's like a forecoming of what's to come with Isaiah.
That is
well, and I'll be I kind of felt like Jordan Miller especially, he would have been perfect for Heat culture, right? Like I kind of wish, and listen, we'll see how Jaime Jaquez Jr., who they drafted in the first round. Yeah,
he's got so much swagger, man.
He does.
Bro, I honestly, if Wong or Miller had gotten drafted by the Heat, I'd be somewhere right now getting a jersey made like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I say it all the time with football. Like, I need the Cowboys to get like a Miami Hurricane so I can like rock their jersey, because I can only rock a Michael Irvin jersey for so long. Like, I need some more Canes. But no, I mean, honestly, I'll probably if they make the team and they play, I'll probably get their jerseys anyway and just like frame them and hang them up somewhere. I need to like actually. I've been living in my apartment for 12 years. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to live for that long. I'm not going to decorate. So like my walls are bare, but maybe I should start hanging some things up.
To that end, I do have a question about both players who are both scoring machines, and probably Miller's probably more of a natural pure scorer. Whose game do you think translates the best to the next level? I know that the game now, it does lean towards scoring guards. So obviously Wong is exciting at the next level, but Jordan Miller, with his ability to kind of have that dominant mid-range game, he's got that length. I'm curious as to who you think. So is it Miller?
It's hard to say because Miller was playing out of position at Miami. We had him playing the 4, and with his size and his skill, he's going to translate more to playing the small forward in the NBA. And he actually spoke on this too, because a lot of when he was being like at the combine and being scouted, teams were telling him like, yo, you need to shoot the 3. And he's like, I can. It's just that wasn't his job at Miami. He did a lot of stuff at Miami that he's not going to do in the NBA. It's going to be a different position. We just played small ball. So he ended up playing the 4, and he guarded the bigs a lot versus team, especially when Norchad got in foul trouble. So his game is going to be completely different. I mean, I think he's so versatile that I think he's going to be able to adapt either way. With Wong, it's going to be interesting to see how his role changes, because in Miami, it's like pretty much all 4 years, he was our best player. Even when we were bad, he was the guy we went to. He was the one who created offense, had the ball in his hand a lot. And that's not necessarily what it's gonna be, at least when he first starts playing in the NBA and the G League. So he's gonna have to learn more to like play off the ball and then just take advantage of the limited opportunities that he's gonna get. So I think it's more of who can adapt more. I'm not really concerned when you're coming out of a Coach L program. Bruce Brown was a second-round draft pick, and he just won a national NBA title. I mean, he beat my team, but I'm still really happy for him.
Well, you guys beat us, so.
So I think coming from a Coach L prepared, because they even said that Coach L runs his practices like NBA practices. So coming out of his system, I think they're both going to adapt. I think Miller is going to have success earlier than maybe Wong will, but I think they both are going to do quite well.
I think that's a darn good breakdown. Before we run, let me give you both an opportunity to promote your work and what you're up to. So Chalupa Batman, I could say people can see your work and see you and hear you on allhurricanes.com. What about the You Heard pod? You got one dropping Monday?
We have a new one dropping Monday. Last week we had Demetrius Freeney, Meech as he likes to be called, on, interviewed the young man who transferred over from junior college. Fantastic young man, a very, very interesting interview. He's got that Kane confidence that you love. So he was a lot of fun to talk to. There's another one coming on, another transfer that'll be coming on tomorrow with us. I don't want to spoil it, but that episode will be dropping Monday. It'll be another really cool interview. We're looking forward to talk to him. Another young man that transferred from junior college. So we like to get those different kind of perspectives. Episodes drop Mondays and Thursdays. We try to do some breakdowns on prospects too. So those drop randomly throughout the week. Check me out on there. Obviously, watch Locked On Weekly and check out all the other Canes content creators, man. They all do a great job. I'm a fan of all of them, as well as a colleague with Donno, and check out the Buckets podcast and all of them. Wherever you go, I'm probably in the live chat somewhere. Check them all out.
Always
Whether I'm on it or not, if it's Canes related, check it out. And if I'm not on it, send me the link, man. I'll come check it out with you.
He's not lying.
and Hoodie Girl, you're the actually both of you are really fast risers, right? Because I see Hoodie Girl everywhere now, and it's awesome.
Oh, she's famous.
She is, and she does such a great job. You do such a great job, of course, on Buckets, but you also turn up on the football coverage sometimes on the Sixth Ring. So when can we see you next?
So if people who are listening don't know, I'm a part of the Sixth Ring Canes network. It's on the 5 Reason Sports Network, so it's like a whole thing. We're the Canes coverage. They cover the Heat, they cover the Dolphins, they cover a whole bunch of different spaces. So we just actually, after the Final Four, just started a Canes basketball portion of that. We call it Buckets, named by Coach Meyer, who's the women's coach. So in the off season, we're mostly airing Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on my work schedule. Our next pod's going to be Thursday, and we'll be breaking down more of like Wong and Miller where they get drafted and how we think they're going to fit. A few more transfer portal updates, especially with some West Virginia players hitting the portal. We're going to talk more about that and some high school recruits. And then we're working on some really good guests coming up in the next few weeks, names that are quite famous to the Canes Hoops program. And then hopefully some more women's talk. Katie Meyer did her thing early on in the off season, so we haven't had a lot of women's content, but we're hoping to get her back on the show before the season starts. And once the season starts, we're going to be doing multiple shows a week, breaking down previous games for men's and women's and talking about what we expect from the next game. So you're going to see us a lot once basketball season starts. So check us out on Sixth Ring Canes.
That's awesome. And guys, for the everydayers, thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen or your first watch today. We will have a Sunday episode because when you've got big time official visits, we're going to start getting that intel on Sunday morning. We can't not do an episode when this stuff is going on. There is no off season these days in college football and college sports in general. So we will talk to you again tomorrow. Huge thank you and shout out to Chalupa Batman, to Hoodie Girl, who is wearing and what is that's the first hoodie you ever wore on a pod, is that right? On Coop Show.
I've worn his hoodie, but like I'm pretty sure this was the hoodie I wore the first time I came on your pod. So I feel like it's a Locked On. Yeah. It's a Locked On. I don't know that I've worn it on any other pod. I think I only wear it on this pod. It's kind of a Locked On like staple.
The Locked
On hoodie.
That's what I'm saying. I should brand it and just put Locked On right here.
I love it. We will talk to everybody next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.